Hello and welcome to Leviathan News. I'm your host, Samuel McCulloch, and today we have a really special guest. That is Dex Chen, the co-founder of Semantic Layer, who is here to talk about some pretty cool stuff that they're doing to shake up the way that we think about dApps and transaction sequencing. So, there's this pretty well-known understanding of how transactions get included into a block, and it's not really smart. They just kind of get bid on. We have all this MEV. It's a big problem that a lot of people have been attacking. And so Semantic Layer is pioneering a new type of system, which is called application specific sequencing, or ASS for short, which we got the title of the show from. And it's a new transaction layer that puts the power of transaction ordering back into the hands of the protocols themselves, right? And they say they're using it to make dApps great again. So Dex is here to bring his knowledge as co-founder. He's also a product designer and has been building some cool stuff like degen options and Grug Bay. So today we're going to dive into ASS, applications specific sequencing, and learn more about it. So Dex, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And also Mr. DDDT is here as well too. How are you?
Hi, nice to meet you, Sam.
Yeah, how you doing? I didn't get to do an introduction for you, but maybe you can talk a little bit about yourself, give your introduction.
Yeah, how about Dex first?
Oh yeah, yeah, sure.
So my name is Dex. I'm responsible for product design at the Semantic Layer. And prior to Semantic Layer, I was a co-founder of a smart contract audit firm called Verilog Solutions. I was co-founder there for 3 years. And even before that, I was working for a market maker right around the beginning of DeFi summer. And I was doing centralized exchange, decentralized exchange arbitrage back then.
Nice. And what about you, Mr. DDT?
Yeah, I was along the journey with Dex like a couple years ago. We right after we graduated, we started Verilog Solutions, Web3 security firm. During the past couple years, we audited a bunch of like protocols, including like the most famous one like Steppen, like across DeFi space, like Reductive Cartel, a bunch of protocols from New Order DAO, and then last year we were in the Stanford blockchain conference, and we will study MEV in the Flashbots events, and then we realized, okay, is there any way to redistribute the MEVs? Because currently all the MEV goes to validator searchers who care zero about your products, right? They just want to maximize, extract the values from each of the transactions. Then we should actually help these dApps to regain the transaction sequencing sovereignties, right? To let them to capture the MEV. It can become another revenue streams, and also they may build something interesting, right? Think about like right now in the meme coin like seasons, if we can redistribute the MEV to some meme coins like traders, to some meme coin like either traders or go back to meme coin teams, they can build something even more fun, right? So this is basically the idea behind.
Yeah. So I mean, like everybody knows that MEV is an issue, right? So I think we're seeing billions of dollars a year that's extracted from users and dApps and other parties, and this really like creates a lack of transaction control, and also these like strange centralization risks where we've kind of turned the MEV issue into like payment for order flow and Citadel, where we're just like offloading our transactions to a third party and paying them like a marginal fee to include those transactions in the block. And by doing so, we're essentially decreasing the amount of decentralization and security that comes along with having these networks. And specifically for apps, there's so much leakage of MEV from apps. Like you just think about like Uniswap, where if you don't have your slippage settings right, you could lose quite a bit of money, right? And so this is what you guys have been working on, this application-specific sequencing. Maybe you can give us a bit of an overview of like what it is and what you're trying to solve with it.
Yeah, so normally when you interact with a dApp, like Uniswap, you sign the transaction with MetaMask, and then the signed transaction is sent to the block builder via the RPC that's in your MetaMask. So in this entire process, Uniswap, neither Uniswap front end nor the Uniswap like smart contract, they can see your transaction before your transaction is actually being included into a block. So the way we solve it is that we're using user operations. So essentially, the users want to interact with a dApp. They will be no longer signing the actual Ethereum transaction, but they were signing this user operation, which is a EIP 712 object, still using MetaMask or any of the wallets they're currently using. But after they sign this object is not sent to the RPC, but is sent to the semantic layer relay, where just a normal API call. And the semantic relay will be sending this to semantic layer nodes, which will then sequence those transactions. Actually, if you go to Uniswap X or 1inch Fusion, or even just use Lotus Safe, you're already signing this type of user operation object. If you go to Uniswap X and you click swap, you're not actually signing an Ethereum transaction, but you are already signing an order to swap your token to another token. So we're basically leveraging this kind of design by making it more generalized. So in the future, any dApp developer, if they want to sequence their own transaction, they don't have to set up their own centralized server that does the sequencing. They don't have to set up their own nodes for actually executing those transactions. They can just use Semantic Layer to sequence their transactions. Sam, I think you're muted.
Oh yeah, got it. And so how would the semantic layer differ from some of the other solutions that are out there, like what Flashbots or some of the other like intent-based or MEV capturing entities use?
Yeah. So previously, there are some attempts on capturing MEV by basically provide a private RPC for the users to use. But one of the drawbacks of this kind of approach is that first, mostly it's just like unsophisticated users are suffering from MEV. And those unsophisticated users, they might not necessarily like know how to switch RPC. And second is that we observe this is as a trend that wallets are actually like making it more and more difficult to switch RPC. One possible explanation is because wallets, they can monetize the order flow if they're using their own RPCs. So this is the drawback of the RPC approach to minimize MEV. And also another thing that we differentiate from other MEV solutions is that we allow developers to essentially deploy their sequencing rule as smart contracts on Semantic Layer. So what this means is that all of those sequencing sequencing policies, they're transparent. If I'm going to use a AMM that's sequenced by Semantic Layer, I can just look at its sequencing rule and I know like for sure this AMM is not going to do front running on the users, but it might do back running arbitrage. So those are the two differentiators of Semantic Layer.
Okay, so like semantic layer operates as this like meta layer that exists on top of the like current like block building and transaction layer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you enforce it against those transactions? Like if I'm just a regular user and I'm coming to use, like, I don't know, say a protocol, like how does the protocol enforce me to use the that meta layer?
Yeah. So basically, the protocol when they integrate with Semantic Layer, they will integrate in the front end by replacing their Web3.js with Semantic Layer.js. And then what will happen is that whenever users they're interacting with the dApps, like click the swap button or deposit, those users will be essentially signing this user operation instead of the actual Ethereum transaction. And then those signed out user operation will be sent to Semantic nodes. And the best part of this is you actually brought up block builder. The best part of this is that we do not require like block builders or sequencers to run specialized software. Like we essentially do not require block builders or sequencers to integrate with us, because those user operations after they're being sequenced on Semantic Layer, they will actually be executed on the destination chain, just like a normal transaction, meaning that Semantic nodes will be sending those serialized transactions that are ready to execute directly to block builders or sequencers if it's L2. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. But how do you even? Okay, so but if it's like does the contracts themselves that are deployed say also have to sign on to the semantic layer? Does that have to be built in, or can it just be slapped on top of any sort of like Uniswap contract so that people, or Curve or anything else, so that people can come and use it?
Yeah, there are two ways. So first is that a smart contract that can absolutely just like do not do any kind of modification. They can just step on Semantic Layer, and Semantic Layer like transaction will be able to call those smart contracts. But what the smart contracts they can also do, that they can also do is that if they want, they can also just essentially lock their dApps to be only sequenced by Semantic Layer. There is some trade-off in this. So if you don't lock your smart contract, if you make your dApp that's both sequenceable by Semantic Layer or just by the vanilla infrastructure, the benefit is that you don't have to make any changes to a smart contract. Like theoretically, we can just build a front end that interact with user V2 like ourselves. But the trade-off is sometimes those transactions they're they might cause some state contention with transactions that are sequenced by Semantic Layer. So to solve this, developers what they can also do is that they can modify their smart contract such that their dApps are only sequenced by Semantic Layer. So in this case, developers they don't have to worry about state contention. But meanwhile, their application is still deployed on Ethereum or Arbitrum or any of those like popular ecosystems, meaning that they get their sequencing sovereignty, but they do not they do not need to launch their own app chain or rollup, and the users don't have to use a bridge to interact with those apps.
Right. Okay. And like, what are the fees for using this sequencing layer? Like, how is it expensive for me to come and route all my transactions through it?
So for the fees, we are probably going to fund the MEV that's being extracted. But other than that, we're just to do gas accounting. So basically, just charge whatever the actual gas cost is on the destination chain.
Right. Okay. Wait, I missed the first part. You said you were going to charge a portion of the potential MEV, or what did you say?
Of the actual MEV that's being extracted. Because on Semantic, there are also a type of entity called searchers. So searchers, they can still use Semantic to find MEV opportunities. And Semantic will essentially take a percentage of that MEV revenue from those MEV bundles.
Right. Okay. So I mean, it's still like very similar to like payment for order flow. Like, is this the best way to solve the MEV problem through this sequencing, or like what like if you could build the perfect system, is it this with the sequencing, or is there something else that could be done at either the network level or contract level to be able to handle this?
So developers they can actually also do sequencing rule. They can also implement sequencing rule as a first come first serve. And on the first come first serve, it'll probably be more fair, but also is just my personal opinion. I think like MEV in a sense is caused by the fact that on blockchain all the times are discrete, so all the transactions happening in a block, like they all like considered happening like together atomically. So I think like MEV is probably there's always MEV opportunities that are there, but it's just like who receives the who gets to capture the MEV.
Yeah, I totally agree with Dex because of the nature of the design of the Ethereum, like the block time, the block limitations. They always are sequencing like everything basically on Ethereum. All the questions mostly is about sequencing issues. So it's very hard to distinguish whether this user is a searcher or like a front runner, or he's just regular users, or he just wanna get things first. Like, so it's very hard to distinguish. That's why the best way to like it's just to through the sequencing rules and meta transaction sequencing or auction flows to let protocol capture these MEVs. Like if you want to go first, yeah, just pay more to go first. But right now the fees are going to the validator searchers. But now if it goes to the dApps, then the dApps can make decisions. Okay, I want to rebate it to my LPs, then that becomes LVR, right? Letting my LPs suffer less. Or maybe these MEVs can go to like the token issuers. It's part of revenues, but depends on how protocols think about this. Essentially the best way right now is instead of preventing the MEV, is about like recapturing the MEV and then rebate it back to the systems.
Yeah. Also, like depends on the definition of MEV. Like if you also include like top of the block arbitrage, backrunning into MEV, then those type of MEV might actually be like necessary for those DeFi applications to function properly, because they keep the price in equilibrium with all different dexes and sexes.
Yeah, I think that like that back running or like post transaction MEV is not really the issue. Obviously prices will change during that time period, and if there is any sort of arbitrage that can be taking place, someone needs to do it, right? And they'll pay up to the point where they feel they can profit from it. I think the main issue though is like you brought this up, right, Mr. DDT, is that who should essentially benefit the most from MEV, right? Should it be these like third party like searchers that capture the most value, or potentially in your case for Semantic Layer, should it be the protocol layer, or should it be the user itself, right? And trying to route back as much like of that MEV profit as possible. And obviously guys have stuck with like the protocol here. How do you think it would change the deployments and operational structure of protocols that employ the sequencing, the shared sequence or application specific sequencing? Would that make any effect on how they're designed going into the future?
I think that one of the interesting changes this might bring is that it will allow developers to essentially program what transaction happens before it gets included in the block by the block builder. Because now, like applications, they're able to design their own sequencing rule and also their own transaction aggregation rule. So this actually unlocks a lot of different features that the apps they can develop. For example, the apps that can implement a transaction circuit breaker. They can just scan all those transactions and see if any transaction that is suspicious, like take out like 50% of the TVL. dApps, they might also use applications for sequencing to do chain abstraction, because now the users, they sign this user operation, which can be executed on different execution environment.
Yeah. So when we are like, where are we going to see this standard implemented? Who's going to be building it out? Is it you guys building your own like protocol specific apps that use this, or are other people going to be adding this on as a like meta layer on top of their app soon?
Yeah, like Semantic Layer itself is very open. Like we of course open everyone for integration. as Dex mentioned, we try to make the integration process be as easy as possible. Like we try to let protocols don't modify the smart contract, just like adding semantic layer.js on the front end and then sending the meta transaction to semantic layer directly. So like initially, about go-to-market, initially, like we are building a bunch of dApps ourselves. The first, we actually building like some DeFi protocols and some AI protocols, all by our team ourselves, just to raise awareness of the MEV and also raise awareness of the application-specific sequencing, like narrative. But yeah, eventually it will be open to everyone to integrate. Oh, Sam, I think you got muted.
Sorry, I muted myself
Yeah.
again.
By the way, just to add a little bit, like I think currently when people talking about MEV is all about like extracting values from swap transactions. So that's why like a lot of protocols are just building another DEX. But from our like understanding, I think in a even like more meta way of thinking is the sequencing issues is like a user experience issues. So that's why we're building some protocols that are not just simply like a swap. Like for example, the protocol we built called GragBay, we're gonna release it very soon, is you're talking to an on-chain AI agent to prove you are IQ 50 to join some secret club. So when you talk to on-chain AI agent, like if on Ethereum mainnet, it's always like 15 seconds. You'll send a message for 15 seconds, waiting for the reply, and another 15 seconds. But most of the reply already pre-generated, pre-compiled through the node. But so that's why like we can bundle a bunch of transactions and settle it all in once, in one block. That can dramatically increase some non-DeFi user experience.
Right. Okay. So, like, what's the capacity for transactions inside that block? Like, could you have like thousands or millions of transactions that are trading against each other, and there's like one final output, or how is that working?
So if we do the some of the execution on semantic layer, then the capacity can be as we said, like as high as a couple thousand or but like another thing is that if we don't do the execution on semantic layer, if we want to do all the execution on the on Ethereum mainnet or any of the layer 2, then that would depend on the gas limit of those.
Right. So like, how do you guarantee the security of the sequencing?
Yeah. So for the sequencing, because all of the users' operations, they're actually posted on semantic chain, and also the sequencing rule, they also deploy as smart contracts on semantic chain. So we have this optimistic model where we can retroactively check if any of the semantic nodes violated the sequencing rule as specified by the developers, and retroactively to slash those nodes.
Right. So you're gonna have like is this like how is the like network set up? Is it more of like an L1 structure or L2, or you're going to be using eigenlayer? Like where does the security come from?
Yeah, so it's L1, and right now we're actually talking with eigenlayer about potentially use restaking. It's one of the options, but we might also use some own like consensus mechanism. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, I think the main thing that I see is that like this is very like a you're creating a meta layer on top that's that essentially takes traditional order routing in a first come first served basis, or whomever's paying most for gas, and then you're creating these new rules where the transactions can operate in. I think that it probably is interesting for a lot of use cases. Have you guys thought about? I mean, you mentioned the AI agent, but is there anything specific to like high value transfers or trading that it would be good for as well?
Yeah. So for trading, we think like this can be essentially very useful for large size tradings, and also another use case will be when a meme coin graduates from Pumped Fund and migrates to Radium, there are sniper bots. That just buy like large of the initial supply, a large percentage of the initial supply in the first block when that liquidity pool is being created. So what application-specific sequencing can do is to allow those AMMs to essentially run the auction on the rights to become the first 10 or 20 or 50 trades that interact with this new liquidity pool. So in part, we can also solve this liquidity sniping problem.
Nice. That's cool. I think it'd be interesting to see how it runs. I mean, when are you guys going live with? Is it already live, or how can people come and try it?
Yeah. So right now we're working on the Semantic Layer testnet. So and we're aiming to launch this at the beginning of next year. So beginning of next year, folks will be able to interact with some of the dApps that integrate with Semantic Layer.
Cool. And like, what are you guys most excited about coming into 2025?
Coming to 2025, I'm actually most excited about like the renaissance of DeFi because I feel like DeFi is probably on the verge of seeing some of the newer innovations in the coming years because meme coins actually got a lot of good developers back into the game of DeFi. So what I'm mostly looking forward to is maybe we're going to see some incentive mechanism that's going to create as large impact as liquidity mining back to DeFi server.
What about you, Mr. DDT?
Sorry, I think I'm lost.
Oh yeah, so just what you're excited about for 2025.
Yeah, like I'm actually waiting for seeing some interesting like mechanisms. I think in the last bull market, as Dex mentioned, we have seen liquidity mining. We have seen a bunch of like very interesting DeFi DeFi narratives coming out. Yeah, I'm just excited to see what's coming up. Right now we have like AI narratives, a bunch of like interesting AI protocols, but none of them are actually to the level that make me satisfied. Like, yeah, I'm just waiting for is there anything cool, like maybe on-chain AI P2P, like I don't know. And maybe AIs are capturing the majority of the MEV. That will be very cool.
Well, right now it's concentrated within a few hands, right? I mean, I've seen those MEV like profit charts, and it's extremely competitive.
Maybe AI block builder, I don't know, like, or maybe some block builder teams are already using AI. Right now, like 90% of the block being built by two teams, right? It'll be really fun if we can see some uprising like teams coming up and they're utilizing like AI stuff.
I mean, what does it mean for the overall health of Ethereum when you have two groups? Are they just, I know it's a competitive market, but are they just better than everybody else and they capture, like 80 to 90% of all the revenue?
Yeah, I think the one fact is some of those block builders, they're also market makers. So they have inventories on different centralized exchange. So this gives them an edge in terms of finding and extracting MEV opportunities. For example, top of block arbitrage. So after each block, those prices on different decentralized exchanges, they become stale. And you can essentially bring those prices back in sync with the central exchange. And if you are also a market maker that has inventory across all those different central exchanges, this gives you a lot more like competitive edge. So I think that's why we're seeing like kind of like concentrates.
Very cool. Well, I'm excited to try it out when it comes out in testnet and see how it works when you get to mainnet in next year. Where can everybody find you guys?
I think we're probably gonna announce everything on Twitter. The Grok Bay we're gonna launch on the Barra chain, and we also have another protocol, DJ option. We actually sent a blog post. Yeah, this is probably gonna be on Base, Barra chain, or Ethereum mainnet, depends on where the Uniswap v4 goes.
Right, but people can find you on Twitter at Semantic Layer. And
yeah, Semantic Layer.
Yeah, and then also you guys are on Twitter as well too. I think Dex, you're like Dex_Chun.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you, Mr. DDT? Same name?
yeah, just Mr. DDT.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, guys, for coming in today, and everybody that is watching at home. You can find us at Leviathan_news on Telegram and also Twitter as well. And thank you for tuning in. We have another live stream that's coming up later today. FX Protocol is joining us, and DeFi Advisor is going to be taking that one. And make sure to come and check out Semantic Layer. They've got a ton of cool stuff, and you'll find all the information in the show notes below. So thanks, Dex, and thanks, Mr. DDT.
Thank you, Sam. And
Thank you, Sam.
thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everyone's time.